Hey now. I go all day. Pop, pop. Hey, everybody. There we are. We're live on Comedy Schools Radio Network.com. We are live on our YouTube channel, Comedy Schools. And now, bing bong, we are live on Facebook Live. You are watching Living on a Thin Line with Tony Vicich. I am the aforementioned Tony Vicich. We come to you every day at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time and have pretty much from the beginning of the official lockdown or stay-at-home order that was issued here in Arizona. We are your daily distraction from all the craziness, nuttiness, anxiety, anger, and hoopla enveloping our cities, states, towns, nations, and world today. It is Sunday, and I'm doing something kind of extraordinary tonight, and I'm going to kind of try to explain it. I am going to do a live show. What do I mean by a live show? This show is live. Yes, it is. Howdy, Tina, Mike Lawton. Hello, Diane. How? This is a live show, but I'm going to go to a comedy club, Stir Crazy Comedy Club in Glendale, Arizona. I keep saying Glendale, California. Arizona, and do a live show. They are set up for socially distanced seating, and we are going in masks and gloves and hand sanitizer and extra microphones and the whole bit. It's going to be an interesting hybrid of a show. Some of it will be live with performers live in the room. Some of it will be brought into the room via Zoom. So there's a couple things that we're doing tonight. The last time I did a live show anywhere at all was at Stir Crazy Comedy Club on March 15th on a Sunday at 4 p.m. Tonight at 7 p.m. So that's what we got going on right now. To be perfectly frank with you, ladies and gentlemen, if when I first scheduled this show, I thought that the R naught would be going down, and I thought that hopefully the case numbers would be going down, but unfortunately the case numbers are going up. But at the same time, I think every once in a while, maybe not all of you, and I respect everyone, and I'm taking very little senseless risk during this pandemic time. There are a couple of people that I see, and they're strictly family members, but the unfortunate odd thing, I think, is in order to keep some businesses alive, you have to take a little risk. That's what a lot of restaurants are doing right now. And the unfortunate thing is since almost no government, except for with the exception maybe of the city of San Francisco, is really biting the bullet. Very few of our elected officials are going, I'm probably going to get voted out of office over this, but this is what must be done. It's being left to all of us individually to make decisions, and sometimes we have to make decisions that we're not totally comfortable with. All that being said, I'm going to be funny as hell tonight, and it's going to be a fun show. I'm going to stay 6 foot from the audience. I'll be outside most of the time when I'm not performing. Watch the show online, directly outside. If you're brave enough and you're in the area and you go, where do I want to put my risk? Because we're all putting it somewhere, going to grocery stores, gas stations, etc. We're all putting our risk somewhere. If you go and I really have a need to do this, there's still a few tickets remaining, although I think they're seating at 50% or less than 50% capacity. But I'm doing this for you. I'm doing it for the people that need it. I'm doing it for the artists that have a strong desire to be able to perform in public. I personally, I got to be honest with you, I'm really loving there's not a lot to love through all of this. Not everybody going, how could you love? Like I said, every once in a while, you got to be able to pull a chestnut from the fire, a diamond from the mountain. And I'm loving the whole social media interaction separate from Facebook and Twitter that so many of us are beginning to do now by using Zoom and Facebook Live to talk directly to people who are interested in what we have to say. I'm really fascinated by the way all this is developing. The number of teachers and instructors and lecturers and caregivers that I'm encountering that have found ways to be able to circumvent the massive problems that the corona pandemic has caused us and be able to teach and interact. When I see my daughter, when we Facebook Live, I tell her to put her cheek against the phone and I give her a kiss to the cheek, and then I put mine against the phone. She gives me a kiss on the cheek. Is it the same thing? No. But you know what? By the time the kid gets to be 30, they're not giving you a kiss anyway. So at least I'm able to get a virtual guest. By the time they're 30, you're lucky if you see them every 6 months. I'm lucky to have a little better deal than that with my kid. So anyway, all of that is going on. What else is going on? So no, Tony Vicich presents on Zoom tonight. This is strictly a show for the people that'll be in the audience. Some of the comics will be performing on Zoom for that audience. But start back next Sunday with another Tony Vicich Presents. I've been talking to some bookers and managers and comics and club owners, and they go, well, until I could do it live. And I go, why? There are people out there that need to be entertained. I think entertainment's important. It's not as important as a fireman during a fire, but I think it's important. We need that distraction to allow us to refocus. And I think it's my job when I'm on a stand-up comedy stage to make you laugh. And if I can make you laugh, it'll take a little bit of the stress off. And then when you have to return to the adversity you have to deal with, you'll be a little better equipped for it. So that's what I do, and want to share how to do that with other folks. And that's why this Tuesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, it's 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I'm offering a free intro to my stand-up comedy workshops. It's easy to attend. All you have to do is go to comedyschools.com. The link and the meeting code and the password is all there. You just hop on Zoom Tuesday night at 6 p.m. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to turn your camera on. You don't have to do anything. Just hang, hear what I have to say. If it sounds like it's for you, I got a workshop for you where you can take all that wonderful creativity, all that pain, all that enlightenment, all that anxiety, all that exuberance that you have inside you, and turn it into something that can entertain others. That's what I'm going to offer you. And then, of course, this Wednesday, my advanced class returns for all my advanced class students. We start again at 6 p.m. I'm going to add a couple little extra goodies to the advanced class this time. Once again, we will be doing Zoom shows. And once again, we will find a place to do at least one live show unless things get absolutely abhorrent. But I don't think they will. So, but I don't know. I don't know. So, and I'm also going to offer a couple other goodies. Okay. Those of you that watch the show on a regular basis know that it is built on 3 platforms where we do 3 things. It is on strictly on audio on ComedySchoolsRadioNetwork.com. By the way, I got some great interviews housed there with great television writers and producers, and musicians and authors. And you can go there and listen to them, and it's really quite entertaining and enlightening. All on ComedySchoolsRadioNetwork.com. We also broadcast the show on YouTube on the Comedy Schools channel, and I'm pointing at you YouTubers right now. Hi there. How are you? Hello, YouTubers. And, of course, here on Facebook Live. So we're on 3 platforms. The show's built around 3 things. Interaction with you, with your questions and comments. What's that?
And SoundCloud.
And SoundCloud. It blows the whole 3 and 3 thing.
Oh.
It's on ComedySchoolsRadioNetwork.com.
Yeah.
And SoundCloud carries,
Good.
I think.
Yeah. Yes.
See, this is, these are supposed to be the pre-production meeting notes. Anyway, you're here, you're watching, you're listening. 3 things that the show is built on is interaction with you, with your questions and comments on these 3 platforms. And then also I show you some knick-knack or memorabilia or something I have laying around the house. And the idea behind that, and maybe it'll be helpful to you, maybe not. I'll just tell you what the idea is that we got to make everything old new again. As our worlds have become smaller and a little bit more fraught, okay, we have to once again reignite our imaginations and reignite our memories and our sense memories. And I, like you, have a lot of stuff laying around my house. I probably more than most, a little bit of a pack rat and a hoarder and collector. That meant something to me one time that now gets tossed by the wayside. It gets put out in the garage and totally forgotten, but it was important at one time. So we're revisiting a lot of those things on this show to keep our minds sparking and to keep the colors going through our heart, mind, and soul in a world that sometimes seems to be only shades of darkness and gray. Bring a little sunshine into your brain with your old stuff. And then I recommend 2 artists or 2 pieces of music off of my vast album collection, vinyl collection. I started to say album and vinyl together, and it was coming out bival, which makes no sense. Anybody watching right now knows that makes no sense. Hold on, I got to flip through here, see if I'm missing any questions. No questions, no comments. Let's get to the stuff. What have I got for you today? We've been working through a lot of T-shirts that I've collected over the years and haven't worn. They're kind of T-shirts you buy, or they're gimme shirts. Here's one I want to talk about. It's pink. There it is. There it is. You see it. Now, you can't read what's on there. I'm going to read it to you. But it's kind of an important shirt and kind of important thing to talk about. This is Progressive Talk Radio, America Radio, 1010 AM, Air America Phoenix, 1010 Talk KXXT. So it was Air America Phoenix. It was Progressive Talk Radio. And it's gone. It's gone. And Progressive Talk Radio, liberal talk radio, never caught on. Why is that? I'm going to tell you why. Okay, you may agree or disagree, but it's the truth. There's something that those of us in the entertainment information business know, and it's this, that people respond to emotion 300 times more strongly than intellect, and they respond to sex the strongest of all. Now, there's not a lot of porno on the radio. There is, I think, on Sirius, way up in the 400s. There's Vivid Radio or Playboy Radio. But there's a lot of anger on the radio. You see, and what Fox News did way back in the 90s was put emotion into the news. Starting with Bill O'Reilly, they put anger into the news. Before that, it was the CBS Evening News. It was the Huntley Brinkley News Hour. It was ABC News. But then it became the Bill O'Reilly Show, the Sean Hannity Show on CNN, Crossfire with Pat Buchanan. Then the liberals began to fight back with Keith Olbermann Show, Rachel Maddow Show. Okay? And one of the reasons that MSNBC does so well is because they injected emotion. But on the radio, it's guys, primarily guys when it started, were driving around doing sales calls and service calls and stuck in traffic all day. And as they all got a little older, and as their favorite music stations started playing music geared towards young people, because that's what successful radio stations do, they felt the radio stations left them, and we all got sick of listening to Led Zeppelin over and over, and we got to switch over to talk radio where it was angry. I'm mad. I'm outraged. I've had it. It pisses me off. You know what upsets me? And it grabbed us. It grabbed us. Rush Limbaugh one time said, in a moment of absolute honesty on his show, because even a guy like Rush Limbaugh with skin so thick that there's no room for a heart, was getting tired of the attacks. He goes, people don't understand what I'm doing here. He goes, it doesn't matter what I say. He goes, conservatives don't listen to my show. Liberals do, because they're outraged by what I say. And then when they get to work, after listening to me on their drive, they talk around the water cooler and go, can you believe what that man said? And then they tune in the next day to see if I'm going to do it again. Limbaugh knew what he was doing, still knows what he's doing. Anger, outrage, emotion drove people to talk radio. You're sitting in your car as a guy who sounds a lot like you, is saying a lot of weird things to you that you go, you know, I don't agree with this. Kind of making sense. If they say it enough, it makes sense. And then came along, ladies and gentlemen, to fight back on it, Progressive Talk Radio with Stephanie Miller and Tom Hartman, Rachel Maddow, the only star to really rise up out of that. And they tried to use reason, and they tried to use sanity, and they tried to use logic. And since they so hated the anger, and since they so hated the attack methods that were being used by the right, whenever they would even veer into it a little bit and someone would yell at them, they'd feel shut down, and they wouldn't do it. And it became boring. Because here's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. The truth is boring. Fiction is exciting. Fiction is wonderful. Fiction fills you with all sorts of sights and sounds and feelings and emotions as you sit perfectly still reading on a book or a tablet. But truth is boring. Truth is for grown-ups. So grown-ups listen to progressive talk radio. And people who are mostly adolescent listen to conservative talk radio. And in the end, the adolescents got their way. They got their ice cream. We took them to the mall. We bought them the shoes they wanted, hoping they would shut up. Okay, so that's it. I got all that off of one shirt. This was a radio station I used to advertise on. By the way, did no business. Spent a lot of money advertising on liberal progressive talk radio. Loved liberal progressive talk radio. Agreed with liberal progressive talk radio. Didn't make a dime off the advertising because no one was listening. So there's a little lesson for you. You got to remember, okay, emotion will take you over. Okay, but slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't let yourself get all jacked up by people pissing you off on social media or ridiculous things. Head down, nose to the grindstone, shoulder to the wind. We will prevail. Let's now just switch over and let's start talking about music. I got two great. I got three things to show you here. All right, because this first one is kind of funny to me. In the great debate over the Staples Singers or Gladys Knight and the Pips, I am well known in the world today for being a Staples Singer fan. I like Gladys Knight, but I love the Staples singers. I don't know why I keep saying it in the singular. There was a bunch of them. Mavis Staple, of course, being the main voice. Love the Staples singers. But you cannot deny Gladys Knight and the Pips. Gladys Knight and the Pips. One great hit after another. And on this album, Imagination, which is my favorite Gladys Knight and the Pips song anyway, you had Midnight Train to Georgia, Got to Use My Imagination, Once in a Lifetime Thing, Storms on Troubled Times. The entire lineup was Midnight Train to Georgia, Got to Use My Imaginations. So two massive hits back to back on side one. Storm of Troubled Times, Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me. Very popular. Didn't do it for me, but very popular. Once in a Lifetime Thing, Where Peaceful Waters Flow. I can see clearly now the Johnny Gill tune that was very popular when he did it. Perfect Love and Window Raisin Granny. This is all produced by a guy named Tony Camillo. I'm trying to look to see what year this came out, and I'm not seeing it. 1973. Gladys Knight and the Pips had all these hits, some of which, the minute I mentioned them, I'm showing them to Facebook, and I'm showing to Facebook Live. I'm showing to Facebook Live and to YouTube. Excuse me. All of which you hear in your head. You hear Midnight Train to Georgia right away. You definitely hear that one. You also hear, Got to Use My Imagination. Huge hits. Okay, they didn't just, I liked their music, but it didn't grab me like, wow. And I used to always joke about it had to be a tough life to be a Pip. Be at a party and people go, so what do you do for a living? I'm a Pip. You're a what? I'm a Pip, man. A Pip. What's a Pip? I'm a backup singer for Gladys. It'd be better to say I'm a backup singer. You know, let's face it, most of the guys in the Temptations and Four Tops and Smokey Robinson and Miracles, most of the guys were backup singers. You could say I'm in Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. I'm in the Temptations. I'm one of the Four Tops. Whoa, what are you? I'm a Pip. Now, earlier, many decades before, Pip was like not a pimp. Brian Ryan says, you're a pimp. I am not a pimp. I'm a P-I-M-P. I don't care what you say about me. I'm a P-I-M-P. Will that be banned through cancel culture now? With songs like, will movies like Hustle and Flow be banned because of cancel culture? Will 50 Cent's I don't care what you say about me, I'm a P-I-M-P. You know, that's very catchy. It's some old melody from almost like a nursery rhyme, but it grabs. Da 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 da. Oh, I can almost identify it. Okay, so I used to joke around, go, whatever happened to the Pips? I used to say, you know, there's some guy sitting drunk in a bar someplace in Los Angeles or Atlanta and just sitting there staring, just nursing a drink. And somebody goes, what's with him? God, don't talk to him, man. He's all fucked up in the head. And he was a Pip. And he kind of hears, that's right. I was a Pip. I spent my whole life going, ooh-ah, ooh-ah. What did I get for it? Nothing. But what did the Pips do? little known to almost anyone. In the late 70s, they broke off on their own and put out their own album, The Pips. That's right. They said, damn it, we're going to do our own thing. There they are, living on throughout history with one vinyl album, The Pips, and it's called Callin'. And there's an attractive young lady on the front of the telephone in a negligee lying on a bed. Callin'. And I don't know, maybe that's the same thing as Hollerback back then. This album went, shall I tell you again, Callin' by the Pips. The Pips breaking off from Gladys Knight and go, we're going to do our own. Damn it, we're the Pips. We're the Pips. And we've got something to say, too, on our own. We don't have to be in anyone else's shadow. So they made their own album. And on this are the big hits. Baby, I'm Your Fool. That wasn't a hit. Callin', that was a full hit. Mr. Blue, that wasn't a hit. Lights Us In, not a hit. Side 2, anything, not a hit. I Don't Have the Heart, not a hit. Don't Stop, not a hit. Loving You, not one hit. Not one hit. List out the names of the guys here. I imagine if you looked them up, you'd find out what they did later. But nothing else there. But the Pips broke free from Gladys Knight and did their own thing. And it leads to the question, since after that they went off into total obscurity and we still know the name Gladys Knight, is it better to serve in heaven or rule in hell? All right, now this next album I want to show you, it really kind of ties in today, but it's an ancient album. All right, and here it is. This is Paul Robeson live at Carnegie Hall. Paul Robeson live at Carnegie Hall. I don't have to tell you to YouTube Gladys Knight. Their music's still kind of in the air everywhere. This is Paul Robeson, and most of you don't know who he is. Okay? But this is him live at Carnegie Hall. And I don't know how many of you know the groundbreaking Broadway show, Showboat. And I can't remember, Cheryl, if it's Rodgers and Hammerstein or Jerome Kern, or if it's Kern and Hammerstein that did Showboat. Showboat was a groundbreaking, controversial for its time, huge hit Broadway show about racism in the South, in the reconstructed South, about a wonderful woman who was passing for white and was a wonderful singer on a showboat until she's outed and her life is ruined, and then her daughters struggle. Stunningly good, massively controversial and progressive for its time.
Oscar
Hammerstein. Okay, who did the lyrics? Does it say? Okay. So if you don't know Showboat, there's a 1936 film of it that's pretty much true to the Broadway show. There was one made in the 1950s with Howard Keel. That kind of is if you pardon the phrase, a whitewash. But it deals with the horrors of racism in America during that time. And it was done in the 30s. Way before the civil rights movement, way before the Me Too movement, because it also deals with a woman with misogyny, way before Black Lives Matter, all important movements. But this struggle has been going on for a long time. Paul Robeson sang the incredible eternal song, Old Man River in Showboat. And what a voice he had. Now, this album's him live at Carnegie Hall. Every Time I Feel the Spirit, Balm in Gilead, Volga Boat Song, Monologue from Othello, because he played Othello too. What's weird is how many times Othello's been played by a white guy. Oh Thou Silent Night, Children's Song, My Curly-Headed Baby, and Old Man River by Jerome Kern. Jerome Kern wrote Old Man River. Going Home, Monologue from Boris Godunov, The Orphan, Christlag in Todelsbaden, Didn't My Lord Deliver Daniel, Lullaby, Oh No John, and Joe Hill, great workers song, and Jacob's Ladder. So this is live at Carnegie Hall. The man achieved during a segregated America. During a segregated America, the man achieved wonderful things, and his life was ruined for it. Not only was Paul Robeson a black man in white America who carried such power, not only in his physical presence, but in his intellect and in his voice, he was also an avowed communist. And by the way, communism seemed to make sense in the 1930s for most people when capitalism was collapsing. As socialism has seemed to make sense right now, as capitalism was collapsing and our government gave away trillions of dollars to us. That's socialism. But for being an African-American man who spoke up, and by the way, didn't do an all shucks kind of shuffling kind of thing, okay, but demanded to be respected for a man. His life was destroyed. I think at one point he wasn't allowed back in the country. I think at one point he had to flee to Europe, as did Louis Armstrong at one time. People don't know that. So when I see people getting upset about Black Lives Matter, when I see people getting upset saying, oh, why can't they go through proper channels? I point out that at one time, I'm going to tell you a story. Okay. I had a buddy of mine who was a photographer who, and this was maybe 20 years ago, 20 years ago. And he had this giant studio in an old building in downtown LA. Downtown LA's had an old skyline and new skyline. This was part of the old skyline. It was an old whitewashed building, about 5-6 stories high, what would have been tall for the time in Los Angeles, built at the beginning of the 20th century, or in mid-20th century it was built. Mid-20th century it was built. And it was cheap because the neighborhood was kind of funky and he needed a lot of space. He had like a giant half a floor to be able to take his pictures and have his dark room and everything. And I went down there to get some photos done one time. And he goes, I want to show you something about this building. Let's call it 6 floors, because that would be close to the truth. Okay. I don't remember the exact number. And we walked all around the 6th floor, 5th floor, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. And he goes, you got to use the bathroom. We get down to the first. I go, yeah, I do. He goes, right down the hall. I go, you know, I didn't ask you on the other floors. I go, because it's a weird question for a man to ask a man. He goes, no, because there is no bathroom on any of the other floors. I went, what? He goes, this building was built for those people who work for the United States Post Office who were African American. And they saved money on it by only putting a bathroom. And by the way, it was a one-holer on the 1st floor, because it was for the newly segregated government workers when Woodrow Wilson, despite all the wonderful things that Woodrow Wilson did, I'm not here to debate that, the horrible thing he did by resegregating the federal government. And once it was resegregated, instead of firing people that worked for the United States Postal Service who were Black, they built a separate building with dozens of offices and cubicles and office spaces and one fucking bathroom. And Paul Robeson was ran out of this country and they destroyed his life because of his beliefs, because he was Black. So when I don't want to deal with it, because I just want to go on about my day, I just want to barbecue and tell jokes, spend time with my wife and walk my dog. That's all I want to do. Teach my classes. That's all I want to do. And they go, no, I still got to do something else. So that maybe my kids, although mine are grown now, but maybe my grandkids won't have to deal with this stuff, because we will truly be the enlightened America we all like to think we are. Okay, not a lot of jokes today, but by the way, if you take anything from today's show, please YouTube Paul Robeson and YouTube him singing Old Man River and tell me that doesn't make the hairs on the back of your head stand up, because it is stunning. It is stunning. Listen to Paul Robeson, okay? Abhinav Goyal, I don't know why you said Milton. You just typed Milton. I don't know what the hell that means. Anyway, I got to go. I'm going to be driving on the freeway tonight for the first time in forever. For those of you joining in late, please go back once this is posted and listen all the way through. Damn it, I think this is one of my better shows. Not one of my funnier shows. Not funny, but I think it was better. Okay, so listen, stay safe. Do what you got to do. Wear a mask. Real men wear masks. That's what men do. You know, by the way, if you can't wear a mask when you're in a store for a half hour and you don't put away your grocery cart, okay, and you don't bring your trash cans in after the trash man came, okay, you do not have the ability to self-govern. And someone else has got to fucking tell you what to do because you're not grown up enough to do it. So let's grow up, because only when we're grown up can we take off the time to have some fun. All right? All right. Some of y'all see tonight. Some of y'all see tomorrow at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. My name's Tony Vicich. This is Living on a Thin Line. Bye-bye.
That was 30 minutes.